So this talk is going to be about synchronicity. So we're going to look at this from a scientific standpoint because I've been studying this and I've been experiencing synchronicity for a while. So the thing that I'm posing to you guys is this random or is this coincidence? Is there a purpose to it? Is there information behind it? Is this leading somewhere? And I believe it is. I have faith that it is, as far as my journey. And I've seen synchronicities in a lot of different ways. And I've captured it in a lot of different ways. As a scientist, one of the things that I want to look at is the probability of this happening. You look at the probability of all of this happening from one single point of whatever you want to call it, the singularity, exploding and coming back together to form this, to form a thinking being that's able to talk to you, another thinking being. Like, what are the odds of that? So when I look at synchronicity, it can be seen in a lot of different ways. It can be something saying, look here or look there, and you happen to catch it, or it could be something that just comes to you. I have experience of it on a lot of different ways. One example is me pumping gas today, an ad that happened to come up about this black hole that was just discovered, and on that you see 227 gigahertz, right? So I happened to go to this gas station um, because I was going to do a talk on religion, but I'm going to do that later. When I saw that synchronicity, I said, well, let me do a talk on synchronicity. Just like with the train, all of this stuff. So the interesting thing is, from a scientific standpoint, I've been capturing data on this and been basically wanting to calculate the probability of this because I believe it's not random. I believe there's purpose behind it. Just like, what is the probability of an explosion creating you, me, and everything that you see? Is there intelligence behind it, or is it just all random? Some scientists would say that it's just random, like, we just happen to do this. And that's one way to look at it, okay? So all of this just happened to come into existence. Or was there a purpose behind it? Is there intelligence behind it? And I believe there's intelligence behind it. And synchronicity, to me, is proof of that intelligence. It's proof of information being out there within the matrix, and you can tap into that information. And to me, that information wants to awaken you and us so that we can live in more harmony with the planet. If you look at how we're reacting to each other in the planet, we're out of sync. So we can use some synchronicity in the way that we behave towards each other and just towards the planet in general. To me, it doesn't make sense to treat the only thing that's keeping you alive, we're all in the same boat, the way that we do, right? So I'm showing you that there's intelligence within this matrix, within this world that we live in. And synchronicity is one way to tap into. Plenty of examples of synchronicity. I've been capturing this from a scientific standpoint, from a data standpoint, all the way back to 2015, and I can show you examples of me capturing this. And I tend to notice it a lot, but don't say it a lot, and it tends to be around people. I remember I used to point it out, hey, look, 27 here, 27 there. But it's like it just goes over people's heads. And maybe it's because, they're not in tune to basically the communication that's possible from reality, right? But me, I want to learn as much as I can about this world that we live in because it is a mystery. And synchronicity is part of that mystery. Like, is it coincidence or is it random? And again, some scientists will believe that all of this happened randomly, but then the odds of that, they say, are similar to the odds of you taking airplane parts and throwing it in a Hurricane Michael, and creating a functioning airplane that starts. So you look at the complexity of the human body, and some would say that that warrants a creator, and then that's when religion comes into play, because religion says, yep, all of this can't possibly be random, so there is a creator, and the creator wants you to do X, Y, Z, and this, that, and the other, and blah, this stuff. And we're going to get into religion later, but it's interesting, the game that they play, and we want to talk about the game as well, and about different religions and all of this stuff. I'm not picking on religion, but it's just interesting that you can have a sane person, a rational person, you would think, believe irrational things. It's like a grown person believing in Santa Claus, when all of us know that Santa Claus was our mom and dad. I believed in Santa Claus. My mom and dad told me, I won't say my dad, my mom told me about Santa Claus. But I used to wonder, like, wait a minute, we don't even have a chimney. How does Santa, give us gifts? And eventually I realized, well, mom and dad is Santa Claus. But just think about that. Your mom and dad work hard for that money, and basically say the gifts coming from somebody. I digress on that. And I know Easter's coming up, and the timing of this is crazy. So speaking of timing, one example of synchronicity, and I'll show you plenty within this video, is the two videos that I shot, the two music videos, where we shot the video, not paying any attention to time because I'm focused on the performance and the editing. But when I get back in the car, when it's time to leave, when the, when the clock comes on, it happens to be 4:27. And that's two instances where I recorded that. And, it just goes over the people's heads that are around me, but I recognize that coincidence. I also had an event on 4:27 last year, and I'm going to be launching this Kickstarter on 4:27 in a few days. I also have an interview scheduled on 4:21, which is going to lead all up to this. So that's why I'm putting these videos out to try to gather steam for this Kickstarter. It's been a lot of years in the planning and in the making, and hopefully, everything goes as it's looking. The probabilities look good. So speaking of probabilities, that's one of the things I want to try to calculate. Like, what are the odds of this happening? It's like, what are the odds of an explosion creating everything that you see and the intelligence behind it? So does intelligence exist? That's one of the things that the 100-degree challenge asks is, does intelligence exist? And if you look at the world, intelligence exists. You can see it all around. Trees behave a certain way, bees behave a certain way. There's intelligence behind things, the way they form. It's there. There needed to be intelligence for this to form the way that it did so that we can have this experience. So there's intelligence in the background. So the question is, does that intelligence communicate? Can you communicate with that intelligence? And what does that intelligence want for us? In my opinion, synchronicity is one of the ways that it communicates. It's a sign to the matrix, to you, that you're on the right path or that there's more information to be had. So I'm just showing you examples of this, and I have plenty, and this is all coming from my phone. But yeah, it's something that I noticed, and I don't keep as much track of it now as I used to before, but I definitely do still see it and do notice it, just like with the gas station. And this is a place that I haven't been before, and just out here just enjoying nature and just talking about the intelligence and the synchronicity within nature. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to keep this one short, and it's going to be ramping up. We're going to get into the religious talk, not picking on any particular religion, but just talking about religion in general and the history of the religious thought. And it's interesting when you look back in history at some of the thoughts that the ancients or the older civilizations had. They were more spiritually aware and evolved than we are now. It seems like religion has devolved and become more separated and become less in tune with nature and others than the original ancestors believed and what they practiced. Wrap it up, and we're going to keep this going. The reason for this amount of content is just ramping up to this event. I'm trying to get as many eyes on it as possible. And it's all about truth. It's all about facts. So if what I'm saying is not true, then just show me what I'm in error on. And it's not that I'm anybody special. The dots that I've connected, you can connect. But many people don't question enough and don't look outside of themselves and inside of themselves enough for answers. They want someone else to do it for them. They don't take responsibility for themselves. So victor is claiming victory and not being a victim. And the victim mentality means you can't save yourself. Someone else has to do it, so the responsibility isn't yours. Therefore, you don't have to do anything. And look at where that has gotten us. And we have to change that if we want to make this thing better. And I believe that we want to make it better, but we're not being shown very good example of that in my opinion. So we're out of here, and we'll see if there's any synchronicities on the way back, but there's plenty that I can show. I don't feel like this one was, all pumped up and all of that stuff, but yeah, it's been a journey, and I'm looking forward to the time when I can actually be quiet and shut up. It seems like I've been talking for a while, and I know some people may say, well, it's just you, who's behind you, and it's interesting. Another synchronicity is how many books are in the New Testament, right? But you look at Jesus as an example. He had 12 disciples, and what good did that do him? They all left him at the end. So I'd rather just be a soldier of one and know that I don't have to worry about anybody stabbing me in my back, because you'd be surprised at the people that do not have your back. But I'm not even going to go into that. But we'll see. It's me and the universe, and I believe it's on my side, and we'll see. Whatever is in store for me, I'm going to accept it.